Hamas says it is going to study a new Gaza peace plan that was presented by Donald Trump. The militant group says it'll talk with other Palestinian factions before responding. The Israeli Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, signed off on that plan Monday in Washington. Now, the proposal demands Hamas effectively surrender, release the hostages, and disarm in return for an end to fighting, humanitarian aid, and reconstruction in Gaza. Here's more from Israel's foreign minister.
Israel accepted President Trump's plan for ending the war in Gaza and for a better future. We will now see if Hamas accepts the president's plan. We know, according to the past, that they usually try to open every clause and trying to change the terms and escaping from implementing, but we will see.
We've also been hearing from Palestinians living in Gaza and their reaction to this proposed plan. Here's more of what they had to say.
This plan falls in Trump and Israel's favor. They have interests in Gaza. They want to end Gaza in any way possible. For gas, they want to turn Gaza into Trump resorts, and he wants to finish his plan.
Trump promised yesterday that there will be peace. He said there will be peace and the hostages will be released. But we as Palestinian citizens, where are we in this equation? Who's going to solve our situation? Who's going to save us from these Zionist crimes? Who's going to save us?
If they release all the hostages at once, then we're finished. We're completely done. And this story of handing over the hostages while they'll still occupy Gaza and Trump is planning how to take a hold and turn it into resorts and tourist areas, that's crazy.
We're going to talk a bit more about this new plan and just what it might entail with former diplomat Patrice Paoli, who joins me now on the set. Patrice, thank you so much for coming in to speak to us. First of all, what strikes you the most in this plan, and is it really new compared to what we've seen in the past?
Well, thank you for inviting me, first of all. But I would say that there are two things which strike me listening to the press conference yesterday. First of all, is that we heard from both the President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu words that we're not used to hear. So this was a departure from former language or former positions. Second is that there are good elements, I would say elements that we could put hope in their implementation, and question marks. So I guess that stopping the bloodshed, first of all, is of course the first priority. And in this connection, any plan that would translate into a permanent ceasefire or a durable ceasefire and resuming humanitarian aid would be a good thing. Freeing the hostages, of course, is also a very positive element. Also, the fact that no one will be forced to leave Gaza, and that those who would choose to leave could come back. So I think this is an important factor, that Israel would not be in a position to annex Gaza or to occupy it indefinitely. So these are positive elements, I would say. The return of the United Nations in the game as far as humanitarian aid is concerned, and probably the idea of statehood and self-determination. But in the meantime, you have big question marks. There is no timetable for the withdrawal. The conditions set by Benjamin Netanyahu yesterday after the press conference, or during the press conference after President Trump had exposed his plan, are an element that puts in question the possible implementation of any durable ceasefire. Then who would be the Palestinians involved in a technocratic government? The PA, Palestinian Authority, is excluded, as well as Hamas. Hamas, I think everybody agrees on that, and there is no question mark. But who would be the Palestinians who would be representing the Palestinian people? Where is the West Bank in the process? Nowhere. Then just before the press conference, there had been allusions, or not allusions, but statements made by the United States about the refusal of any annexation of the West Bank. So this is another big question mark.
Right. You say so. A lot of question marks, obviously. Yeah. And the one thing you said that people seem to agree on is not having Hamas be part of any future government. But this is a key point because Hamas, first of all, was never consulted on this deal. Hamas needs to sign off on this deal. What's the likelihood that it will sign off on this deal?
Well, there are rumors going on. I mean, I'm not in government anymore. And, well, first of all, there have been talks between Hamas and other parties. Hamas is called a partner in the deal, in the plan on several occasions. So I guess they know about the plan. They've been talking to some authorities to some countries. So there are rumors that they would be likely to accept. I don't know if this is. I cannot prejudge what they will say. But in fact, they would be signing on a plan which excludes them and denies their existence. So even as a political movement. So I don't know. It's a question mark. I guess that talks have been going on. So without having any specific knowledge about those talks, I guess that Hamas has been apprised of all the elements of this plan in a way or another. Because
another big question mark, of course, is the future of a Palestinian state. The plan does leave the door slightly open to the consideration of a pathway toward a Palestinian state. Benjamin Netanyahu was very firm after saying that's something that Israel does not want. How can you move forward with that in play?
Well, I guess that, there are more guarantees for Israel than guarantees for the Palestinian people. And self-determination, but it's paragraph 19, I think, of the initiative. It's very vague. It does not talk about the recognition of the state. When you look at I was reading the statement made by the French Ministry of Foreign Affairs earlier this morning, and it brings into the plan elements which are not in the plan, which try to bring back the perspective of a political path, a real political path leading to a Palestinian state, which is the reason why a number of countries have recognized the Palestinian state, or the state of Palestine, recently, adding their voices to 146 states who had done that previously. So it's good that the statehood is mentioned in the text, but it's so vague. And if you are to sign in on a document and you don't see where the guarantees are. Another point which is interesting is that the talk about releasing 250 people who have been condemned to life sentences. Who will those prisoners released be? I guess that it would not be Marwan Barghouti, but that would be a good thing to have people who can represent. In this plan, I don't see who represents the Palestinians. Technocrats. Tony Blair. The quartet is not specifically a good memory for many Palestinians. It was in place when the blockade started around Gaza. Those are question marks we need to be clarified.
And another huge question mark, pragmatically speaking, for the people of Gaza, how would this plan help them? How would it be implemented if and when the war ends?
Well, a good thing is there's no talk about the Riviera anymore, and now we're talking about reconstruction. When you see the destruction of this piece of land, which is very small, 92% of houses have been either demolished or damaged. It's a huge effort, and you see the situation in which the Palestinian people in Gaza live now. Yes, one can hardly imagine the volume of aid which would be needed to do that, and allowing also to introduce what is necessary to rebuild. So another question mark, but maybe the commitment on this would be easier if you pass the first obstacles or question marks, which are what will Hamas say and how far will Benjamin Netanyahu stick to his agreement of his approval of the plan, which is conditional?
From your experience as a diplomat with many years' experience, what do you think? Is there hope?
I think that Netanyahu never renounces. That's what we've seen in the recent past. But since '96, his objective was to destroy what Oslo was trying to construct, which he has succeeded in doing, and he is determined. He also has partners like Minister Smotrich or Minister Ben-Gvir, who are openly racist in favor of ethnic cleansing, and whose and whose position is conditional for the survival of Netanyahu's government. So is Netanyahu betting on having a new form of coalition, but he will need to have new partners if those fail him because they profoundly disagree on what he has accepted yesterday. So I think he has accepted, but he kept he gave in his own statement all the elements in order to continue doing what he's doing. We will finish the job, either the easy way or the hard way, which is quite frightening when we see how far what the hard way has led to until now. So I don't think he will renounce, but he will do it in other ways, probably. And what is interesting, I think, also is that President Trump has changed his language and his position in a way and put pressure, because Netanyahu would never have accepted this without a very strong pressure. So this leaves other question marks open, but there is a path that might lead. So as a former diplomat, I would say that you always have to build on any possibility you have to go forward. So if this plan can progressively build, I would not say confidence, because there's no confidence, but between the parties, but build a path progressively where each one sticks, and with the proper influence, and more than influence, pressure of the United States to stick to what has been agreed, then maybe it can lead to something better. And I hope that it will be the case for the Palestinian people, of course, but also for the Israeli people. Israel's security does not depend on war. In my opinion, it depends on a peaceful agreement and the existence or coexistence with a Palestinian state side by side in peace.
Patrice, thank you so much for coming and speaking to us. Patrice Paoli, thank you.